Your income stops for 90 days, not because you lost your job, because your employer pauses operations, your contracts dry up simultaneously, and the market that was buying what you sell decides it needs less of it. 90 days. What happens to your financial position? If the honest answer involves significant stress, liquidating savings, or relying on credit, you have built fragile wealth. And the uncomfortable reality is that most people who believe they have built financial security have actually built financial dependency dressed in the language of wealth. This is not about how much you earn. High earners build fragile wealth constantly. It is about the structure of what you have built and whether that structure holds when the conditions that created it change. Fragile wealth has three characteristics. It is concentrated in one income source. It is dependent on continuous favorable conditions to maintain its value, and it has no mechanism for generating returns when the primary engine stops. Most financial plans that look sophisticated from the outside share all three of these characteristics: a well-paying job, a pension contribution, a mortgage being paid down, perhaps some index fund exposure. This looks like a financial plan. It is actually a single point of failure system with a retirement account attached. The problem is not the individual components. Index funds are rational. Pension contributions are rational. Paying down a mortgage is rational. The problem is that every component in this system depends on the same continued employment at the same income level. Remove that one condition and every component either stops or reverses. The pension contribution stops. The mortgage payment becomes a liability rather than equity building. The index fund position stays technically intact but becomes psychologically impossible to hold without income because the psychological pressure of a drawdown without income replacement is qualitatively different from a drawdown with income replacement. The entire structure depends on one variable remaining stable. That is not a wealth system. That is a leverage position on your own continued employability. The architecture of resilient wealth is different in one fundamental way. It is built around income systems rather than income sources. The distinction matters more than almost anything else in personal finance, and it receives almost no attention in mainstream financial advice. An income source is a single stream: your salary, your business, your freelance contracts. An income system is a collection of streams that are not correlated with each other. When one stream contracts, the others do not contract for the same reason. This does not require being wealthy to build. It requires being deliberate earlier. Then most people start being deliberate. The practical framework has 3 stages, and they are sequential, not simultaneous. Stage 1 is stabilization. Before you build income streams, you need a buffer that removes financial decision-making from the pressure of short-term income variation. This is not an emergency fund in the conventional 3-month sense. It is a stabilization layer, 12 months of essential expenditure in a liquid account that you treat as infrastructure rather than savings. The function of this layer is not to earn returns. It is to give you the psychological and practical freedom to make rational financial decisions when conditions change. Every resilient financial structure starts here. Almost nobody builds this before moving to stage 2. Stage 2 is diversification with correlation awareness. Most people who diversify do not actually diversify. They add assets that feel different but respond to the same underlying conditions. A salary plus a property investment plus equity in a private company plus a stock portfolio sounds diversified. But if all 4 of these assets contract simultaneously during a recession, which they will because they are all correlated with the same economic conditions, you have not diversified your risk. You have distributed it across different accounts while leaving it structurally identical. Genuine diversification requires asking one question about every asset or income stream you add. Does this contract for the same reason as everything else? I hold when economic conditions deteriorate. If the answer is yes, you have not diversified. You have concentrated with extra steps. The income streams that provide genuine diversification in a deteriorating economic environment share specific characteristics. They are not dependent on consumer discretionary spending. They are not dependent on continued access to credit. They generate returns through mechanisms that are structurally different from your primary income source. And they are built before you need them, because building a second income stream while your first income stream is under pressure is significantly harder than building it from a position of stability. Dividend-paying assets with strong balance sheets. Bonds with appropriate duration matched to your liability structure. Skills-based income that operates independently of your employer. Rental income properly stress-tested against vacancy rates and rate environments rather than priced at optimistic assumptions. These are not exotic instruments. They are structures with genuine correlation independence when built correctly. Stage 3 is the ongoing stress test. Resilient wealth is not a destination. It is a maintenance practice. Every 12 months, you apply one question to your entire financial position. If my primary income source stopped tomorrow, how long does my current structure sustain my essential obligations without liquidating long-term assets? And what does each income stream do under that condition? If you cannot answer that question with specificity, you do not have a resilient financial system. You have a financial plan that assumes nothing goes wrong. Most financial plans assume nothing goes wrong. Most financial plans are fragile. The architecture of resilient wealth is not complicated. It is stabilization, followed by genuinely uncorrelated diversification, followed by regular stress testing. What makes it difficult is that it requires starting earlier than feels necessary, building things you will not need immediately, and resisting the pull of optimization, the tendency to maximize returns in the current environment rather than building the structural resilience that performs across multiple environments. Your income stopping for 90 days should be a manageable inconvenience. For most people with the financial profile that conventional advice would call successful, it is not. That gap between what resilient wealth looks like and what most people have actually built is the gap this framework is designed to close.